Hello, good day to all. Today we are going to study the thermal comfort. Uh, so we will proceed further. Thermal comfort is one of the trending topic in refrigeration and air conditioning. It is related with the comfortness of human body. So thermal comfort, what is thermal comfort? So it is called as condition of mind which expresses satisfaction with the thermal environment. So we all know that our body has some average temperature and the surrounding temperature is keep on increasing or decreasing according to the weather conditions. So all in all, there is some adjustments by the body according to the environment temperature, and that is to feel us comfortable. So further it can be said as neutral condition of human body. So as I discussed earlier, it is obvious to understand that human body loses or gain heat through environmental conditions. So in what manner there is thermal exchange of body with the environment? So we may report that what we consume food eatables. These eatables are having some production of energy when we consume those, and the capability of our body by extracting energy from particular food is generally termed as the metabolic heat produced within the body, that is denoted here with QM. And we do some useful work that can be regarded as a useful entity, so that is shown here as W. So the difference of these two would be the extra amount of heat that is produced by the food or eatables that we have consumed. So what would be with this extra amount of energy? So it is shown here that there might be some energy we require to maintain the temperature, that is shown here as QS, that is the amount of heat stored in the body. Rest 3, there is some exchange of heat with the surrounding by the body. So there is QE first, that is heat lost by evaporation. Second, there is QR, that is heat lost or gained by the radiation. QC is heat lost or gained by the convection. And as I told earlier, QS is the amount of heat stored in the body for the regulation of temperature. So to understand it better, we may assume it as a boiler. So in the boiler, we feed coal as a feedstock and as a fuel. This coal, when burns, it delivers some amount of heat. Some amount of portion of this heat is delivered for useful amount of work for generation of steam. But there are certain losses in form of smoke. There is some radiation losses, there are some convection losses, there are some other losses. So it is similarly with our body. These are two pictures which showing the amount of what is average body temperature of our body and when we feel discomfort and comfort. So moving ahead, the heat loss can be in 3 ways. It may be with conduction when our body is in direct contact with some solid surface. It may be with the convection when our body is in contact with air or fluid, and due to the temperature difference there would be the density difference in the fluid and there would be the motion of fluid and heat loss or gain. Further, there is heat loss by radiation. In certain cases, when the temperature outside is more than the body temperature, then we feel wet upon our skin and we lose these water vapor with the evaporation process, and this process makes our body cool. This is a diagram what we require as a basic summer air conditioning system. So we may understand these components. However, this is just an indication in what what components do we require to prepare a basic summer air conditioning system, and what is our concern? So moving further, this is a diagram showing there is a neutral condition that we call, that is the average body temperature. Now when the surrounding temperature would be vary by this value, we need to do something to maintain our body temperature. So first we are taking the condition when the environment is and colder than the neutral zone, then the body loses more heat than generated. Then the regulatory process occur in the following order. First, there is a zone of vasomotor regulation against cold. So if we study this, there is first green zone, that is from the 36.8 degrees Celsius and between 35 degrees Celsius. So this is, in this, the blood vessels adjacent to the skin constrict, reducing flow of blood and transport of heat to the immediate outer surface. So it acts using the low flow rate of blood, and it restricts the heat loss from the body to the outside. The outer skin tissues act as insulators in this case. When we enter in the second zone of metabolic regulation, in that if environmental temperature drops further, then the earlier process is not enough to provide us protection from the heat loss. So in that case, there is spontaneous increase of activity. So how this activity took place? By shivering. So by shivering, there is a body heat generation, and due to this, there is some heat regulation takes place inside the body so that our body temperature can be maintained. If we cross this zone, in that case we feel a high level of discomfort, and our body is not able to combat cooling of its tissues. So hence the body temperature drops further, which would prove to be distress. So this is called as zone of inevitable body cooling. Similarly, when we deal with the environment which is hotter than the neutral zone, then body losses less heat than it is generated. Then the regulatory process occur in the following order. First, as we have discussed in the earlier section, zone of vasomotor regulation against heat. So in the earlier case, there is a contraction of the vessels of blood. In this case, there is blood vessel adjacent to the skin dilate. So result into the increasing the flow of blood and transport of more heat to the outer surface, so that more heat could be rejected from the body to maintain the temperature. So the outer skin temperature increases, providing a greater temperature for heat transfer by the convection and radiation. But what if the temperature increase further of environment? So in that case, the sweat glands become highly active, drenching the body surface with perspiration if the surrounding air humidity and air velocity permit. See, there is a condition: if the surrounding air humidity and air velocity permit. If surrounding air is saturated and it is wet, humidity is more, so in that case the air movement would not be easy, and since air is already heavily dense, it won't be able to take away more water from the skin. So in that case, evaporation would not take place. But if your air is not that much wet and it is moving, so in that case there may be this process happen. So evaporation from the skin takes place, and result is body temperature is prevented. If we cross this zone, so in that case the body temperature increases, leading to the zone of inevitable body heating. The internal body temperature increasing leading several ill effects such as heat exhaustion with symptoms of fatigue, headache, dizziness, irritability, etc. There are heat cramps resulting in loss of body salts due to increased perspiration, and finally it may result in severe heat stroke. Heat stroke could cause permanent damage to the brain or could even be lethal if the body temperature exceeds 43 degrees Celsius. So we may see that it is of high concern, so that our body temperature could be maintained. Now the degree of warmth or cold felt by a human body depends mainly on following three factors. What is the dry bulb temperature outside? What is relative humidity? And what is air velocity? Yes, air velocity play a major role in deciding the degree of warmth or cold felt by a human body temperature. So we call it effective temperature. So this word effective temperature is used to evaluate the combined effect, sorry, the combined effect of all these factors. It is defined as that index which correlates the combined effect of air temperature, air velocity, and relative humidity on human body. The numerical value of effective temperature is made equal to temperature of still saturated, i.e. 5 to 8 meter per second air velocity, which produces same sensation or warmth or coolness as produced under the given condition. So there are certain factors which affect the effective temperature. Likely, there is first climatic and seasonal differences. So there is the relationship between optimum indoor effective temperature and outdoor temperature, which changes season to season. Second, clothing. As we all know, person with light clothing needs less optimum temperature than person with heavy clothing, because our clothing acts as insulator in most of the cases. So we would see it in upcoming slides. Age and sex. We all know that the body temperature of young guys are more than the body temperature of some older guys. Women of all ages require high effective temperature than men. Children also need higher effective temperature than adults. Duration of stay. If the stay in room is shorter than higher effective temperature is required than that needed for long stay. Kind of activity. See, if a person is doing some activity, so obviously if this activity is heavy, such as people working in factory, then we require low effective temperature than people for sitting in cinema hall or auditorium. Density of occupants. The effective effect of body radiant heat, particularly in densely occupied space like auditorium, is large enough which require little lower effective temperature. Now this is a comfort chart showing for still air, and we may see that there is a central shaded portion shown as comfort chart. This is between the 70% relative humidity to 30% relative humidity. It is drawn between the wet bulb temperature and dry bulb temperature. So you may observe the different temperature range for comfort zone. This also varies season to season. So there are two charts differently shown for summer region specifically and winter region in the upper portion and lower portion respectively. This is the same chart provided by the X-ray, and it is shown for the winter zone and summer zone separately. This is a diagram showing the variation of effective temperature with air velocity. So this diagram is capable to show at what velocity of air, how much effective temperature would be there. This is the modified comfort chart. The shaded portion here is showing the comfort zone. So it will be shown later that cost of air conditioning. We all know that if we have to achieve a less temperature in summer, it requires a large effort. But we may also agree that if we require a higher temperature in winter, that would cost us much than the earlier case. So what is recommended? Recommended is use of suitable clothing and maintaining suitable air velocity in the conditioned space. This can lead to the reduced cost of air conditioning. So we may take a general case in which say we are in summer and we are sitting in a room. So generally the AC is operating for minimum temperature of 16 degrees Celsius. But we feel quite comfortable for 24 degrees Celsius. So if we put AC on 24 degrees Celsius, then we would be consuming less amount of energy for our air conditioning rather than we are putting it for 16 or 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, we may feel comfortable, quite comfortable in 24 degrees Celsius, but rather than we prefer to use the AC for 18 degree or 16 degrees Celsius. So it is recommended to use a high temperature in summer so that the cost of air conditioning could be reduced. Similarly, for the winter condition, if we try to operate our heating device for say nearly 16 to 17 degrees Celsius, so in that range we would be able to feel comfortable. But if we switch that temperature to the 23 or 24 degree or say more than that, so the cost of winter air conditioning would be much higher. So with this, I thank you all for listening. If you have any query, just mail me. My mail ID is given with the down below in the comment box. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.